All right. What's up to all folding knife people out there? What's up to all everyday carry people out there? I figure I'd just show off my folding knife collection. I'm gonna keep adding folding knives to my collection over the years, but right now I figure I'd just show off with what I have. Some of these knives I've had for many years, and a lot of them have had some really hard use. Anyway, I'll just go from the smallest to the biggest. This is my Spyderco Dragonfly. I've actually gotten this knife for several other people in my life who are not knife people, and they really appreciate it. They like how lightweight it is. They like the utility of the blade. The one thing I don't like about it is the pocket clip. I think it's just a little too fragile and it bends, but you can just take it off and rebend it back in shape and it's totally fine. Next is a knife that has some sentimental value to me because of how long I've had it for. I think I've had this knife for like 17, 18 years now. This is the Spyderco Delica. This is an older one that has AUS 6 steel. And AUS 6 is soft steel by today's standard. It's not even AUS 8. So AUS 6 is soft stuff. This is the knife that showed me that if you pay a little bit more, you get a lot more bang for your buck. And this is when I had like a bunch of gas station knives back in the day, but a bunch of cheap crap. So this is the knife that really showed me that you can have a good quality folder like this. The downside is one day I was just being stupid and I took out the pocket clip and of course I lost it, and now it just happily stays in my collection. And yeah, Spyderco Delica. Next is another knife that needs no introduction whatsoever. This is the Spyderco, oh no, I'm so sorry, this is the Benchmade 940. They make many different versions of the 940, but the green version is the most classic one that that's around. This is a very nice gentleman's carry, and this is actually, at the time, this one was actually the most expensive knife in my entire collection. I very much like to have this one around, when it comes to like carrying around the city, because it's very low profile, it's very smooth. I just like the overall size. The two downsides to this was when I first got it, the centering was way off to the left, so I had to send it back. I did not like that. And then a couple years ago, playing around with it, flicking it out, the access spring actually broke. It actually broke. For those who know what the access locking mechanism spring is, it actually broke one day. Had to send it back again, and they fixed it. But I still like the 940. I think it's a really cool design. Next are my two workhorses. This is the standard Benchmade Griptilian. I really recommend the Griptilian. I think it's the best Benchmade design that they've ever come out with, even though it's like one of their originals. This one is 154 cm steel. Both of these are 154 cm steel. I actually left this one out in the rain by accident for like 2 days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally found it, and it was working just fine, no rust problems whatsoever. Whenever I go hiking or backpacking, I always take one of my Griptilians with me. This is another, once again, another Griptilian. This has what's called a reverse sheep's foot. Same thing with the 940 and the Contigo later in this video. This is what's called a reverse sheep's foot, and I very much like this type of tip. It's not not the most penetrating stabbing type of tip, but it's a nice utility tip. Also, this has what's called a hollow grind versus a saber grind like the other type of Griptilian. Next is my newest one to my collection. I just got this. This is the Spyderco Shaman. And this is just a cutting beast. I love this one. Big slab of S35 or wait, what is this? This is S30V steel. G10 handles. The ergonomics of it is just excellent. I love the, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just forgot what the locking mechanism is. I can't believe I forgot what it's called. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyway, I really like the feel of this one. Definitely one of the more expensive ones I have in my collection, but I'm happy I have it. Yep, Spyderco Shaman. Next one is the another one that I've had in my collection for a very long time. This is the Spyderco Endura. This is the full serration version, all metal version. This one I do have the pocket clip, by the way. The funny thing about the serrations is, once again, because this is an older one, this is AUS 6. Once again, it's soft steel, but the serrations allow it to, not allow it to, it still helps retain edge retention. I've used this thing to cut up garden hoses and all kinds of crap in the backyard, and yet the serrations really keep an edge. So I've never had to sharpen this knife ever, from all the things that I've found reasons to cut with this thing. Anyway, yep, I've had this one for a very long time. Next one is probably one of my favorite tactical ones. This is a Spyderco Endura Wave, and this is designed by Emerson. And I'm not sure who the guy is, but what's really cool about this design is this hook right here. You got to use some imagination. As this sits in your pocket, when you pull it out, this hook right here is going to catch onto the pocket as you pull it out. And when it comes out, it's already deployed. This is faster than a switchblade, and it's 100% legal in pretty much all states. I really like this one because if for for self-defense purposes, I would probably want this knife over all the other knives. This one is, I think, VG10 steel, just like the Dragonfly. Next is one of my favorite folders that I like to use for hard purposes and just for overall real tough tasks. Aside from my Griptilians, this is this is the Cold Steel Code 4. There are multiple reasons why this is one of my favorite knives in my entire collection when it comes to actual hard use. It's one thing to admire our knives, and it's one thing to just like how much they look and the feel of it. It's another one to be like, okay, which knife do I really want to use all day? And my Griptilians and my Code 4 is the one I really want to use all day. The design and the high profile hollow grind really makes it a great cutter. Nice clip point. The other thing is, it's so slim. It fits so nicely in my pocket, and with a high clip right here, it's a big knife that disappears into my pocket. It doesn't get in the way of other things like my keys or my cell phone. And when I pull it out, I got a lot of bang for my buck when it comes to cutting performance. The other thing about the Code 4 that I like, it's very simple. It's very simple to take apart and maintain and clean. There's not a whole lot of parts that are in this knife. I do not want to take apart my grip or any Benchmade. I don't like to take them apart because it's just too finicky. The axis springs are just too finicky. A Code 4, easy. You can easily take them apart and maintain them. So I really recommend this knife. I'm going to start getting really silly on this one now. I have another Code 4, except this Code 4 has actually never been used. This is the Spear Point. And when I hear that people buy crap and then they don't use it, I've always laughed at that idea. But then one day I get a knife that I'm like, okay, both of these knives are made out of, which one is this called again? Yeah, the XHP version. The XHP type of steel is not being used in cold steels anymore. There was a logistics issue with them a few years ago, so then they announced that no more of their knives will have XHP in them. And so there was a mad rush online from everyone trying to buy any form of cold steel knives with XHP because it's a great steel. And so I bought this, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep it the way it is. It has the original factory edge, except for some cutting paper kind of tests. I've never really used this for any real tasks. The thing is, I really laugh at myself because that movie Spinal Tap, the guy buys a guitar and he says, no, it can't be played ever. And I actually understand what the heck that guy was talking about. One day I might sell it. I don't know. I probably won't. I'll probably just keep it the way it is just because I'm silly. Next is a Cold Steel Voyager. This is an older version of the Cold Steel Voyager. This has AUS 8 steel. Once again, this is a full serration version. And unfortunately, I wish I would have gotten a plain version of it, or a plain edge version. The serrations of Cold Steel are not as good as Spyderco, in my opinion. For cutting garden hoses and other types of hard material, oh yeah, this thing just saws right through. So the serrations still work just fine, except they're just not as good as Spyderco. And then, especially if you hit any type of like soft material like clothing or fabric, forget it. It's just going to snag, and it's not going to cut that well with it whatsoever. The thing is, there's no way to really disassemble this one at all. Yet there's hardly any little play whatsoever in it. And I'm telling you, I've done some really hard cutting with this thing. So for the price I paid for this thing long ago, this Voyager really is holding out very well. So excellent job with their design from Cold Steel on that. Next one is something that has a lot of meaning to me. This was actually given to me by my fiance as a birthday present, and what's so funny, she's like, you want me to spend how much on a folding knife? And I'm like, yes. So this is a Paramilitary 2 special edition that has the Emerson type of wave to it, so it operates the exact same manner as this, except it has the bronze washers in the middle of this, and it's a S30V steel. Now, the original knife came with these black G10 handles, but what I noticed is that the G10 handles was just too rough up against the pocket clip when I would try to pull it out. And when you try to pull it out using this hook method, it would just like kind of snag a little bit more than what I wanted to. And unfortunately, one day I dropped it because it got snagged and I dropped it. I'm not sure if you can see it. I actually broke the tip one day, and I took it to a knife shop guy who knows how to grind really well. And he regrounded the tip, if you can see that. did a really good job. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Hiccups suck. Anyway, but he did a really good job reprofiling that tip, and it's absolutely excellent. When I told him about how I didn't like the G10 handles and how it kind of added too much resistance with pulling it out, he hands me these titanium handle scales, which is what these are. These are now titanium handle scales, and he helped me assemble it. The only downside is like this part got a little rough to put that on. If you ever try to put on Paramilitary 2 handle scales, be very careful with this loop right here. It was a real pain even for him, and he knew what he was doing. But going back to this is a knife that I really do appreciate on how much thought went into this. The value of it really went up now ever since I put these titanium handle scales on it. But I very much like this one. Thank you, babe. Yeah, this is a birthday present. You want me to spend how much on a knife? Next is a Paramilitary 2 that has M390 steel and blue G10 handle scales. I forgot what website I got this on. I was just looking for knives with M390 and found this. M390, for the record, has such a shine when the light captures it. M390 is probably my personal favorite steel, but I'm just being a snob about it. Anything with S30V is totally just fine, for the record. But this one, again, I really appreciate it based on just how it just overall looks. The geometry of this edge, it's just such a great cutter. The only downside with Paramilitary 2s is those tips. You got to be careful with those tips, man. Look how thin that tip is, man. You can easily break that if you're not careful, okay? So be nice to your Paramilitary 2s. It's such a mouthful, you know? But yeah, I just like it because it's blue and it's M390. Most of the Paramilitary 2s come in S30V, for the record. Now I got my biggest, heaviest hitter. This is the Benchmade 808 Loco. This is a folder that has been pretty much intentionally overbuilt. Big slab of S30V steel right there. Nice big G10 handle scales right there. The whole knife just feels great in the hand. For hard use cutting and when I'm like making little feather sticks in the backyard, man, this knife just shreds. So again, also it has that reverse, I guess you can call it a reverse sheep's foot type of tip. But the overall design of the knife is really nice, man. I just overall like the feel of this one. But this is definitely the heaviest one out of my entire collection. This is like a 5-ounce knife, maybe 5.5-ounce knife. So this has some heft to it. But anyway, yeah, 808 Loco. Lastly, we got my Contigo. This is again a special edition from KnifeWorks. I'm not sure if you can find these anymore, but this is a Contigo in M390. With some blue and black G10 handle scales. The little downside to this knife, though, unfortunately, the first time I ordered one, the G10 handle scales, it must have just been grinded or made badly in some way. The colors were all messed up, so I sent it back. They sent me this one, and then this one I have a weird, I can't explain it. People have told me there's nothing wrong with the access lock on this, but again, I have a weird issue with the spring here. Who knows? Let's see if I can get it to go. Hang on, give me a second. Let's see if it worked. No, it's not going to work on camera, unfortunately. But one day I do want to have this spring replaced just because I have a little bit of issues with it. In the meantime, I have no problem with the lockup, for the record. It locks up just fine. But the other thing about the Contigo that I think a lot of people may want to know is the inner liners right here. These spiky little inner liners. I've handed this knife to other people who are not aware of it, and they're like, man, this knife wants to like chew my hand apart. So it's the most creepiest knife that I have in my entire collection. I just like it once again because it's M390 and I just like the handle scales and it's just big. It's just it's a big design. So yeah, that's my little folding collection. I would very much like to have a zero tolerance knife one day. Unfortunately, they're so freaking expensive. There's also a couple of other knives. I wouldn't mind having a Lion steel knife. I mean, we all have our lists, but right now I got other more expensive priorities to take care of. And in the meantime, I'm also just show off to you guys on my collection. Thank you for watching.